Amir, I feel that you must have been very patient because you've watched everyone go in front of you, but now it's your turn. We're all excited. Like I say, 180 seconds. The time starts now for you.
420 million people around the world suffer from cognitive impairment and have a high risk of developing into Alzheimer's disease, one of many cognitive illnesses that has no cure. Current drugs can only manage the symptoms, even though there are hundreds of neuroscience-based drugs right now stuck in the approval process that could potentially offer life-changing applications. We're talking about a $1 trillion market. So what's stopping it from happening? Outdated methods and tools that are either too slow or too ineffective to validate them. Hi, I'm Amir, co-founder and CEO at Virtuleap, the company that is using neuroscience and virtual reality to help pharmaceutical companies accelerate the approval of neuroscience-based drugs by better profiling the patient segments that have the best possible treatment outcomes. Current cognitive assessment tools are limited and lacking because screen-based devices fail to engage and track our whole body. Virtual reality is the answer because it's the first digital format to trigger our autonomic nervous system into believing that the experience is real. Which is why we created Enhanced VR, a library of VR games designed by our neuroscientists as translations of standardized neuropsychological assessment tools like the Stroop test and the NBAC task into 3D rendered environments that test and train a range of cognitive abilities, not just including our memory, task switching, problem solving, and information processing skills, but also our motor skills, spatial orientation, and spatial audio awareness. And we make all of that data accessible through our enterprise platform. The amount of data that we collect is unprecedented. Just 3 minutes of playing our games generates over 200,000 data points in one full session, over 1 million, which means that we're collecting an order of magnitude more data about the human condition than any other digital solution. The volumetric data is a combination of granular player interaction with rich full body sensory data that is impossible to capture with screen-based formats that exclude the body. We're collecting body positioning, postures, hand analysis, so that we can even detect subtle movements like tremors and handshaking. Our first paid client is the AARP, and we're partnered with major institutions like the Pacific Brain Health Center, as well as the VA healthcare system and Rockefeller University Hospital. We're working with leading researchers and experts in the field of cognitive science and neurodegenerative diseases to validate our solution as correlating, one, to traditional methodologies, including neuroimaging and other biometrics like EEG and eye tracking, with our first wave of clinical studies beginning this year. My co-founder and CTO, Hossein, and I have been working together for over 9 years. He's exited one fitness and wellness app, and I'm a leading expert in the field, having covered the evolution of VR for blogs like VentureBeat for the past 5 years. We've also recently brought on board our chief science officer with a background in Alzheimer's research and biomarkers. Our team is a mix of scientists and game developers that believe that the intersection of emerging tech with social impact can help us tackle the biggest social challenges facing us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amir. Brilliant presentation. Thank you for being so patient and waiting to be the last one to present. Before you leave, Amir, I'd like Kuntibo from the jury to ask you one final question.
Thank you for your pitch. You started by saying you were targeting pharma. I was wondering why not make it a standalone product, and wouldn't you need a CE mark as a medical device for that, or even to further process the discussions with the pharma?
Very awesome question. You know, our roadmap ahead is windy all the way from beginning the clinical studies that begin as of this month with Valdebrun in Barcelona, 24-month study of doing clinical validation to correlate ourselves to traditional methodologies, show we're faster, better, more reliable, and even generate evidence for FAR transferability for the therapeutic effects. Now, that requires us to get the funding, the team on board, and to finalize those studies and then pursue validation with regulatory bodies when those studies have concluded. Between now and then, the beachhead market with pharma is more purposed because they're actually in big need for companion diagnostics like digital companies like ourselves. And they are interested in, for example, pilot studies where we could work together to serve as a next generation cognitive assessment tool, yes, on the one hand, but also a next generation data collection tool.